Travis Wayne Goodsell. The new fan unit is doing excellent. Chilling out so much that I had to turn up the heat. So apparently Ralph Wiggums is now the adopted son of Tony. If the boy wants to smush the gummies, he's gonna smush the gummies. So, nobody in the Mormon Church knows about the original administration of the original Church of Joseph. Because, as Nelson has told us, this is not the Church of Joseph Smith. He was not kidding. And so, there's a lot of things that have been changed since the origin of the church administration. And it has changed after 1838, and after Senior died in 1840. And the big change was Hiram Smith, but there were other changes that were made in 1838 that Joseph found out after the fact, when he got out of jail yet again, being set up by a certain group within the church, a secret combination group within the church. And again, Mormons are clueless. We're told to be as wise as serpents, but innocent as little bunny rabbits or lamb chops or something like that. Remember lamb chops? I think that's, well, the majority of my audience knows about lamb chops. They're my age and older. But yeah, that was black and white days, wasn't it? With lamb chops. And there used to be a guy who was an older Mormon, older than me, an elder Mormon, who was a high priest, but he was going around to ex-Mormon and investigating Mormon sites, investigating Mormonism sites. It's Me, Jesse, for example. He would, that's where I found him, is that he would reply to my comment to troll me, rather than communicating with It's Me, Jess, or with the actual channels themselves. That's one of the disturbing things about a troll, is they don't go after the actual video creator. They go after the people who comment on the videos. It's pretty cowardly, I would say, but I've had to deal with people like that. YouTube has now changed it so that I can hold all comments for review to protect those who do make comments, and I approve them on my channel. But there's problems when you assume that the current administration is exactly the same that Joseph Smith had set up. And I still remember his missionaries going around telling people, oh yeah, our church administration is the same administration as Christ with the apostles. And then I eventually read the New Testament and went, wait a minute, no. It's not. It's not. No. So, yeah, there's some changes that have been made. and incorporates Old Testament administration with it as well, and incorporates Egyptian administration as well. Isn't that interesting? Why would that be? Huh. But the first president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the office of Moses. It is not the office of Peter, James, and John. That's the big one that I keep pointing out to you. The key of Moses, given to Joseph Smith in 1836 after the dedication of the Kirtland Temple. And Mormons assume that, oh yeah, it was actually Moses who came to Joseph Smith, because that's what Joseph Smith said, and it was actually Elijah. No. Remember, the Doctrine and Covenants in 1981 was decoded. So the original Doctrine and Covenants had code names for people, places, occasionally for things. And the church service missionaries working on that project for 1981, as I have been going over with you, missed quite a bit, and has led to so many errors in belief systems for Mormons. For example, section 45, it's not Jesus, it's not the Jews, it's not Jerusalem. It's all coded still. The church service missionaries in 1981 missed it, just like they missed Babylon in section 1 verse 16. And without an understanding of the origin of the administration, yes, Mormons veer off away from the iron rod of administrative knowledge, and instead of getting to the tree of life, they end up in the midst of darkness, the filthy waters, the great and spacious building, which is the pride of the world. And amen to their priesthood and the authority of them for that. And so, in section 124, we still have a close to the original from the Joseph Smith papers, because Willard Richards was ordered by Brigham Young to make a whole bunch of changes to support Brigham Young's agenda and evil plans for takeover and usurpation of the church. But we find out that Hyrum Smith not only becomes the new patriarch because he's the oldest brother in the Smith family, he's also referred to or called as a prophet, seer, and revelator. And then Joseph Jr. is translator. And they put translator first, then revelator, then seer, then prophet. Notice the current administration won't even mention translator for the sustaining vote, which we don't vote. It's a loyalty oath. And so then he gives counselors, because Oliver Cowdery is gone in 1838. He was unhappy with Joseph and Sidney palling up and Oliver being the third wheel. And so he left, and Yeah, lots of chaos in 1838. I've gone over that. Having done my own research on church history, I'm the one who discovered what I call the leadership crisis. That's in 1838. It's when the Danites rose up. They made their move. They'd gotten Joseph arrested again, and lots of chaos that year. Lots of chopping off of the top branches and replacing them with lower branches. Brigham Young being one of such people. But Sidney Rigdon is still in the church. He gave a salt sermon, is what it's called, in 1838. He clearly did not understand the Danites and what was going on with them, though. And then William Law is the one who replaced Oliver Cowdery. Now, they're counselors. Joseph Smith is translator, revelator, seer, and prophet. And so, in 126 of section 124, the counselors are to receive the oracles for the whole church. Now, oracles is simply another religious term for counselors, to give advice inspired by God. And so it's not prophet, seer, and revelator. And I don't know. I had a friend, YouTube friend, I guess, who has informed me that in their religion, Sidney Rigdon was understood as also being a prophet, seer, and revelator. So I've reached out to find out more about that, if there was something that the Joseph Smith papers are not informing us, that this section is not telling us. I still have yet to check to see if she responded. But as far as I can find, the documents merely say he has oracles as a counselor to receive inspiration to communicate effectively with Joseph Smith before Joseph Smith makes the final decision as the prophet, seer, revelator, translator, office of Moses, first president of the church. And so then they go to Brigham Young, which is interesting, as we'll get to. Brigham Young has already been voted president of the 12 Traveling Council. And so it's interesting how it's worded. I give unto you my servant Brigham Young to be a president over the 12 Traveling Council. It's as if all of a sudden he's now being put in. No. In 1838, Brigham Young and the Danites caused chaos while Joseph Smith was falsely arrested for what the Danites caused. And he had Thomas B. Marsh, who was the president, chased out. He had learned of the Danites and said, I want no part of this. No secret combinations for me. I'm out. And took his family and left. Brigham Young then sent him a letter demanding that he appear before Brigham Young as the new voted on president of the 12 Traveling Council for an excommunication hearing. Brigham Young does not have that authority. We'll get to the one that does here shortly. And Thomas B. Marsh just ignored it. Didn't even bother to show. Good for him. But it was on my birthday, 17th of March, 1839, when he was officially excommunicated by Brigham Young, who took it upon himself to exalt himself, not just in the quorum, but for other actions that he had no authority to do, like excommunicate somebody. He also excommunicated and booted out of his now new quorum William Smith, yes, the brother of Joseph and Hiram, and Samuel, and Don Carlos. And it's interesting that Joseph put William in the traveling council, because Brigham's traveling council were a bunch of hooligans, and Willard Richards and John Taylor were strangely the only ones in Carthage jail with Joseph and Hiram after Joseph chased out the mob from the jail. So how did Joseph and Hiram die with only 2 people remaining with them? And then they lied in their testimonies, which didn't go to the court. They just went to the church to tell the Mormons. But I digress. So yes, you can tell Brigham Young's the bad guy in this story, and all Mormons apparently seem to know this fact about the inverted pentagram and worshiping Lucifer, and I'm the sucker and loser who was clueless this whole time until I finally did my own research into church history. And so the Traveling 12 Council, notice how it says Traveling Council. I don't even see apostles here, which is interesting. It must be worded somewhere else that they're apostles. But it says, which 12 hold the keys to open up the authority of my kingdom upon the 4 quarters of the earth, and after that to send my word to every creature. Well, obviously that means Peter, James, and John are the leaders of the church for the first presidency, right? No. Joseph is that position with the keys of Moses. But again, since 1923, and technically Brigham Young fixed it also over the Adam God controversy. He didn't want Orson, I think it was Orson Hyde, becoming the successor. And so he rearranged it, and it ended up being John Taylor. I wonder who John Taylor was responsible for assassinating in Carthage jail. With my 3rd great-grandfather's single shot. But they're just missionaries. That's it. They go around setting up churches, not the center stake of Zion, the cornerstone. Cornerstone. Oh, wonder which other quorum has that one. It even says it here in the text for Mormons to look at. But that's it. They're just missionaries. Alright. And again, in 131, I say unto you, I give unto you a high council for a cornerstone of Zion. And who's the president? Well, in 130, because this is who he's saying unto you. David Patton, I have taken unto myself, behold his priesthood no man taketh from him, but verily I say unto you, another man may be appointed unto the same calling. And again I say unto you, I give unto you a high counsel for the cornerstone of Zion. And so it almost seems like David Patton is actually a continuation in 12. But namely Samuel Bent, Henry G. Sherwood, George W. Harris, who is the fill-in husband to take care of William Morgan's wife. Who's William Morgan, Travis? Charles C. Rich, Thomas Grover, Newell Knight, David Dort, Dunbar Wilson, Seymour Brunson, I have taken unto myself, no man taketh his priesthood, but another man be appointed unto the same priesthood in his stead. And verily I say unto you, let my servant Aaron Johnson be ordained unto this calling in his stead. David Fulmer, the brother of my third great-grandfather, who gave Joseph the single shot, and then Joseph gave Hiram the single shot. Alpheus Cutler, he plays a prominent role with the succession crisis. And William Huntington. So that's the cornerstone of Zion. Remember cornerstones? Jesus is the cornerstone of the church. And then prophets and apostles are supposed to be the other ground floor level with the cornerstone. But Nelson decided to put the church as the cornerstone. And instead of having Jesus as the cornerstone, or the other part of the foundation stone, he built a statue, Jesus, on top of the church for the logo. Isn't that great? So yes, this is the cornerstone of the church, the High Council. But again, if you're confusing our current stake High Council as this High Council, you'd be wrong. Then, here's another doozy for you. And again, I give unto you Don C. Smith, Don Carlos Smith. Oh, the brother. Another brother. Same mother and father. To be a president over a quorum of high priests. And so how many of you remember that the church used to have a high priest group, and that the leader was not a president but a high priest group leader? Yeah. Wonder what happened to the quorum of high priests. Well, it's a good thing Nelson took it all away then, isn't it? He still laughed when all the high priests and elders threw whole bunches of hate comments. He didn't do away with the high priest. He sent them to help the elders. Yeah, help. That's it. He's not grandfathering them out of the church. Good thinking. Now we know with coronavirus, which ravaged the elderly high priests, as Utah also withheld the real numbers of dead elderly from the coronavirus stats, refusing to get them tested. And so I wonder what the secret agenda is of the church under Nelson for 2024. Yeah, I've already been telling you guys. And so, God. And Amasa Lyman and Noah Packard were counselors in the quorum of high priests. And then the quorum of elders, still have that. Let's see. Which quorum is instituted for traveling elders? So, traveling 12 council has traveling elders associated with that. Whenever the traveling high council, mine apostles, there it is, shall send them to prepare the way, a way before my face. So, yeah, the traveling 12 send out the elders. The elders get a whole bunch of people baptized, and then you send in the 12 traveling apostles council to then set up and organize a church out there. But it's supposed to be under the umbrella of Joseph Smith, the Keys of Moses. The bishopric, presiding bishopric, with Vincent Knight and Samuel H. Smith. Oh, another Smith brother, the one who was assassinated with poisoning after Joseph and Hiram were assassinated. And then Shadrach, Roundy, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. Counselor for priests, and the president of the teachers and his counselors, and also the president of deacons and his counselors, president of the stake and his counselors. See? The high council is not the same as the stake. The above offices I have given unto you, and the keys thereof, for helps and for governments, for the work and the ministry and the perfecting of the saints. How hard is it to read? Apparently, it's too much. It's deep doctrine.